let's talk a little bit about what this is. So this is gonna go on YouTube. This is a series that I originally made as a way to make content every day, and that was a stupid idea. But I wanted a goal, so I made up a bad one, and I changed my direction a little bit. Twitch is much better for like daily connections, streaming, many times a week. And YouTube is much better for slightly longer projects like a once a week release or some such, that is more evergreen, archival content. That's just how the platforms make the most sense. So I'm now using them that way. But people really liked my little series, the ModCast, where I would quickly talk about the basics of a mod and then like rant about its use cases basically. So I thought we got to bring it back somehow, but I also need to figure out how to choose mods that make more sense. If I'm not going to do them every day, if I was going to do them every day, we could almost do every mod, like eventually. But I'm not going to do them every day. They're going to be commissioned on stream. You watch my stream and you get a digital currency called Doubloons. And once you have a whole lot of Doubloons, you can commission your own modcast for whatever mod you want. If I haven't done it before, which I will, they're all fair game for now. Even ones I did in the old modcast series, you can do in this one if you want, because it's kind of different. So we're gonna give the basics on a mod. I'm gonna tell you what I think of it, and if it's like for specific weapons or a specific weapon, I'll talk about that. And then we'll see what chat has to say, and we'll even get a little bit of a better modcast than before because we'll also get what chat has to say. And it also triples as a stream advert to come watch me on Twitch if you would like that type of content. I'm a kind of a different kind of Twitch streamer than some people are. I'm very focused on interaction. I'm pretty much entirely focused on interaction. I don't really do anything that is not like viewer sourced content. And then, I have whatever goal in the background, but most of the time it's driven by what people want to hear me talk about. So this fits right in. Like, we already kind of do this. This is just like you get a really formalized, you really get me to focus on the mod you want to talk about. So the first thing we need to do is now we have to prepare. We need to make a good format for this. So the first thing we need to do is make a new scene called Harbor ModCast. And this new scene needs to make the mod bigger because this is inadequate. So we'll start. True Mr. Fruit, thank you for commissioning a modcast and voltage sequence. Behold, this glorious mod for the Lanka that causes flying enemy kills to create lightning traps, it says, from their remains, which last 8 sequence. Wow. It also gives you a sequence proc. What are the lightning traps? Well, killing a flying enemy spawns a miniature arc trap, like the ones that are in Grenier missions, kind of, that drops to the ground and lasts a short time. The arc trap zaps limited numbers of enemies within a small radius. I'm reading the wiki, dealing minor electricity damage at a rapid tick rate with a high chance to stun enemies. Flying enemies that die to the arc traps of the sequence effect do not spawn more. And the last time I checked, they're kind of like, you really can't see them. So this is also for the Lanka, which matters. And it has sequence, which kind of doesn't matter. We'll get back to that. There's a little detail there. This is from Parent Sequence, and the Lanka is a really good weapon. So you would think, okay, it's an augment for the Lanka that doesn't make it do more damage, but it has some utility. Cool. The thing is, the Lanka is not hit scan. So shooting enemies that are flying around with it is like already sort of not, I don't know, and like, for a lot of players, the Lanka exists as a way to do a lot of damage with a sniper rifle. It's a delivery system for big damage. So, like, inherently putting an extremely niche crowd control mod on the Lanka is, like, not what most people are signing up for. I wanted to briefly mention... So I think this is a really bad mod. I think this is an unusably weak mod. I think it is very minorly interesting that the sequence effect will restore a huge amount of shields to Hildren. So having a sequence effect weapon on Hildren is kind of nice, but there are way better ones. Like, there's plenty of other options. You don't need to use this one. It really is an enigma. I agree. Mr. Fruit says in chat, why only flying enemies? Why only 8 seconds? Why on a weapon with no mod space? On a projectile weapon? Why on a sniper rifle? Why, like, this mod is an enigma. Like, what? Why? I don't know. It's really interesting having it be like a specific type of enemy and then you get like a big payoff, but it's not a big payoff. And the thing is that it's such a specific type of enemy that you can't even find them against most factions. So this is the kind of thing where it's like, even if it was really good, this mod fundamentally is in the category of a Bane mod, where it's like, do you want to switch builds depending on what faction you fight? Because if you don't, this mod is already off the table. And for most of the players of this game, they don't want to do that. So it's like, you fundamentally are not going to enjoy, like, you're not going to get much out of this mod. So yeah, I don't know, it's not good. It's I mean, we all know it's bad. But it's really bad. Seriously, it's really bad. Now, at the same time, I do want to briefly talk about utility weapons. A lot of people have this idea that a weapon can never be utility. Like weapons are for killing things, people say. But if a weapon hits a very large area for like some kind of crowd control effect or some other like condition overload priming or something, if it's hitting an efficient number of enemies or leaving something behind, like obviously that can be efficient. Like to say that like weapons are only for killing enemies, yes, obviously the end goal is to kill enemies, but like it's reductive to say that if a weapon does anything other than directly killing enemies in any way, then it's not good. That doesn't make sense. If it crowd controls a bunch of stuff, then in a very big area, that could be worth it compared to doing more damage to less enemies or, you know, whatever. And especially weapons that leave something in the environment are very rare. So the interesting thing about this mod that makes it even funnier that it's horrible, and it is horrible, is that there are very, very few things in the game that leave like a thing in the environment. So theoretically, that should be not powerful exactly, but like you'd think there would be situations where you'd want that. And the way I make loadouts, I'm always looking for things that have like a unique utility, because if you use every single loadout in the entire game, if you have like 100 different contexts that you could be using something in, surely somewhere in those hundreds of different contexts for loadouts, it will be good to do this thing, but it's not. Like, it's really, really not. However, I would say if this mod is for anyone, it is for people that do want to make builds against specific factions, because I suppose if you were only ever using this mod against Corpus, I mean, there are a lot of flying enemies, you know, like, I guess. So I don't know, like, I could see this being, I bet there's someone in the world that this mod is for. I guess I just feel like I don't understand why it's not for more people. It seems unnecessarily narrow for like how not that strong it is. Another thing that would be interesting for this mod is if the traps were moddable. Like if the mods on your Lanka affected the traps and they did damage or proc the same status as your weapon or whatever. Which actually I can't promise you they don't. I'm pretty sure they just proc electricity, but I don't know. But anyway, so that's it. So we'll see what what chat has to say. Final question: is this the single worst mod in the game? No. Because like the payoff is not that low. It's just you never get it. You know, like there are mods that you never get any payoff from them, but you also the payoff isn't even good if you were to get it. You know, this mod at least like what you get when you get the payoff is at least like okay. You know, like not good enough, but at least like moderately all right. And having syndicate power is not that bad. Like there are some weapons, not the Lanka, but there are some weapons where it'd be like a sequence effect for a mod slot is like not even the worst deal. Like I don't want it, it's not good, but like I'd be like whatever, you know. So yeah, I don't know. Jaman, you said the gas status is almost a better trap on its own. Yeah, like if you just mod your Lanka for gas damage, it's a more effective version of this augment than this augment. So that's a problem. Yeah. If you mod gas and shoot a flying enemy, the gas proc will kill every enemy that the trap would have affected. And the trap only lasts 8 seconds, so it's not too likely that more enemies will hit. Why only 8 seconds? Anyway, I think while talking, you should use it in the simulacrum. I'm definitely not going to do that because a lot of the mods I won't have necessarily. A lot of them will be bad. A lot of them it will be difficult to demonstrate. And the whole point of the series is that it is quick, off the cuff, gives you an overview of the mod. It is not a video about the Lanka. It is a video about this mod. That's why these are not going to be in the simulacrum. But you can absolutely come onto a stream and ask me to demonstrate something in the simulacrum. I will. That's just not what this is about. It's meant to be a podcast. It's a modcast. I hope you can understand that. What is hands down the worst mod in all of Warframe? Depends on context. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure there's too much else to say. Sequence probably kills low-level enemies. It can't be that bad. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, you know? Like, it's really bad, but it's not the worst mod in the game by a lot, you know? Like, there are a lot of mods in the game that do, like, literally nothing. All the IPS mods do absolutely nothing on the Lanka, so this is better than all of those. Like, I know that's a dumb way to argue it, but when you're talking about, like, is it the worst mod in the game? It's like, no, it's not. So, 10,000 doubloons well spent. That's right. Thanks for coming. Shopping Air XandyPants. Why are we on a plane? I think that's pretty much it. Anybody else got anything to say about voltage sequence? What do you think? I think that's pretty much it. Mistakes were made, Mr. Foots. No, what else do you want to talk about? Go ahead. We'll give it a little more time. What else do you want to talk about? Go for it. This is the first time anyone's done any of these. People are asking if it works in Railjack missions. It's certainly not supposed to work in Railjack missions, but I don't know. Maybe it does. Electrified enemies take collision damage. It's good, it's good, it's good. No. It gives sequence for a mod slot. Again, it's fine. What about what could make this a good mod? Again, like almost anything. Like triggering on more than just flying enemies. Triggering for lasting longer than 8 seconds, like lasting a while. The traps doing damage. I like not being for the Lanka, being for a weapon that is hit scan, being for a weapon that is not so overwhelmingly focused on only doing damage. Maybe being for a weapon that already has a little utility. So you're sort of already picking a weapon that that is utility related. So for example, the Ogress has Nightwatch Napalm, which is a utility focused augment, but the Ogress is already a weapon that is not entirely focused on damage. It already has some, like, it hits a lot of enemies, it has blast, you know. It makes a little more sense to have utility on the Ogress, whereas this mod, it's like the last thing I'm using the Lanka for is utility, and like there's so much damage you would be losing by putting this on. So it just feels, I don't know, it just feels bad. And give a Syndicate proc to Nightwatch Napalm. Yeah, to buff this mod, just give Nightwatch Napalm a Syndicate proc. Last thing, this mod is bugged and it is very hard to even proc in the first damage place, and the range of the trap is also terrible. Yeah, it's just really bad. It's really nice to have chat to augment the discussion of a given mod. To be honest, I don't understand utility in the context of mods. Well, so it was what I was saying before about, like, you can say that guns are just for killing stuff, but it's like, if you shoot a single enemy and they die versus shooting 15 enemies and they take, like, less damage, or they all get crowd controlled, or they get a bunch of status effects or whatever, like, that can be a good trade-off. Assuming that you couldn't have just hit those 15 enemies and instantly kill them all, which you couldn't have most of the time. Sometimes you can, but you usually can't, which is why it can be viable to have a weapon have utility. The other thing about utility mods is that there are plenty of weapons on which the 8th mod slot has really diminished in value, like there's not a lot to put there. Like on the Ogress doesn't have crit, so you don't really have that much to build in the first place, so you really have the mod slot, you know? And Nightwatch Napalm is pretty good. Like, Nightwatch Napalm is much better than this. So it's not a good comparison, but it gives you the idea of, like, the Ogress is kind of looking for something else to use, so it makes sense that they gave it something else to use. Whereas the Lanka is, like, the last weapon I need more mods for. Like, there's so many good payoffs, I don't know. I'm convinced that the 8 seconds of duration are just have some stat to scale from mod levels. Yeah, there's stuff like that, yeah. The thing that makes me say this is the worst mod in the game is that this thing goes out of its way to be useless on so many levels. Yeah, that's true. I see what you mean. Like, this is a mod that tries hard to not be good, is what you're trying to get at. I hear you, you know. I don't know. I don't know how much I don't know how much I care about arguing what is the best or worst mod in the game, but yeah, like I hear you. It does. It gets an award, a Xandy award, for being the mod that tries hard not to be good. That's right. It goes out of its way. If this mod is Exilus, I think it would be okay. I disagree. It would be very good to have a sequence effect in the Exilus slot, but the text for what the mod does remains irrelevant. It just doesn't really do anything, is the reason it's bad. That's Voltage Sequence. I've been Xandy, and you've been tuned to the ModCast.